You know that heavy feeling when Monday morning arrives and it already feels like you're just counting down the hours until Friday? But what if the solution wasn't about rushing through the week, but about making the days themselves feel a little lighter and more meaningful? Today we're going to explore one simple shift that can help you stop waiting for the weekend and start finding more ease and enjoyment in your regular weekdays. This matters because most of us spend the majority of our time on weekdays, and when they feel like something to endure, it drains our energy and steals our sense of calm. When you start practicing this shift, you might notice that your mornings feel less rushed, your afternoons feel less heavy, and the whole week starts to feel more manageable. The key mistake many of us make is thinking we need a big change or a perfect routine, when really, it's about a small adjustment in how we approach our daily moments. In this video, I'll walk you through this idea step by step, keeping things practical and grounded, so you can try it out right away. So, let's start by looking at the one thing that often makes weekdays feel so draining in the first place. This topic is about something most of us do without even realizing it. We spend the whole week just waiting for Friday, and that habit quietly steals our happiness. Making weekdays feel better means learning to find small moments of goodness right where you are, not later. It's not about pretending your job is perfect or that every day is exciting. The real trap is thinking that joy only lives on weekends, so you miss what's already here. When you stop deferring your happiness, the ordinary hours start to feel lighter and more meaningful. The simple takeaway is that you can shift your experience without changing your schedule. Let's look at why this matters so much for your everyday well-being. This matters because waiting for the weekend creates a constant feeling of lack. Your brain gets trained to see Monday through Friday as something to survive, not live. That mindset drains your energy and makes even small tasks feel heavier than they are. When you only allow yourself to relax on Saturday and Sunday, you put your whole life on hold. The truth is, most of your life happens on weekdays, so ignoring them means ignoring most of your existence. By learning to enjoy the in-between moments, you protect your mental health from that weekly crash. The benefit is a steady sense of contentment that doesn't depend on the calendar. Now let's see what life looks like when this piece is missing. When this is missing, your week feels like a long tunnel with a tiny light at the end. You wake up Monday already tired, and you spend the whole day counting hours. Small frustrations pile up because you have no buffer of positive moments to balance them. You might find yourself snapping at coworkers or feeling numb during your commute. The common pitfall is that you think the weekend will fix everything, but it rarely does. Without weekday joy, even a good weekend feels too short and leaves you anxious for Monday. The relief comes when you realize you don't have to live that way. Next, let's explore the habits and beliefs that keep this pattern going. If this idea of making weekdays feel better without waiting for the weekend really clicked with you, I'd love to hear about it. Take a second to hit the like button so more people can find this kind of gentle support, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Happy Life Tribe so you don't miss the next video. While you're here, drop a comment and let me know, what is one small thing you want to try this week to make a weekday feel a little brighter? Reading your responses always gives me new ideas and reminds me we're all figuring this out together. If you're not sure what to say, just share the first thing that comes to mind. Your comment might even help someone else who's watching. Thanks for being part of this conversation. One big block is the belief that weekdays are just for getting things done, not for enjoying. You might have a habit of rushing through your morning without noticing anything around you. Another pattern is multitasking during breaks, scrolling your phone instead of actually resting. Many people also tell themselves they'll relax later, so they never relax now. The misunderstanding is that you need big changes to feel better, but small shifts work just as well. When you see these blocks clearly, you can stop treating your weekdays as a waiting room. The key is to notice when you're deferring happiness and gently choose differently. That leads us to the first mindset shift you need to make. The first shift is moving from enduring your weekday to experiencing it. Enduring means you're just trying to get through, while experiencing means you're present with what's happening. This doesn't mean you have to love every task, just that you stop fighting the moment. For example, instead of thinking, I can't wait for this meeting to end, you can notice the warmth of your coffee or the sound of voices. The trap is believing the presence only matters during fun activities, but it matters most during ordinary ones. When you shift your mindset, you reclaim your attention from the future and bring it back to now. The simple takeaway is that you can choose to be here, not just later. Now let's turn that shift into a first practical step. The first step is to create a tiny daily ritual that anchors you in the present moment. Pick one ordinary moment during your weekday, like your morning walk to the car or your afternoon tea break. For just 2 minutes, pause and notice 3 things you can see, hear, or feel around you. This isn't about forcing positivity, just about letting your senses wake up to what's already there. A common mistake is to skip this because it feels too small, but small repetitions build new habits. When you do this consistently, your brain starts to associate weekdays with small pockets of calm. The benefit is that you stop living on autopilot and start feeling more alive during the week. In the next scene, we'll look at how to expand this practice without overwhelming your routine. So what does it actually look like when you stop waiting for the weekend and start making weekdays feel better? It's not about turning every Tuesday into a party or forcing yourself to be excited about spreadsheets. Instead, it's the small, quiet shift in how you move through your regular hours. You might notice yourself pausing for a few seconds before rushing into the next task, just to breathe. Or you might find that a 5-minute walk between meetings feels like a real reset instead of wasted time. The key is that you're no longer treating Monday through Friday as something to survive until freedom arrives. You start to see those days as containing their own small pockets of ease and meaning. And that shift alone changes the whole texture of your week without needing a single big event. One simple practice that helps this feel real is what I call a micro check-in with yourself each morning. Before you check your phone or dive into your to-do list, take just 10 seconds to ask how you're actually feeling right now. It sounds almost too small to matter, but that tiny pause interrupts the autopilot that usually carries you through the day. You're not trying to fix anything or change your mood, just noticing it without judgment. This practice matters because it reminds you that you're a person having a day, not just a machine completing tasks. Over time, that small moment of awareness makes it easier to spot when you're slipping into weekend waiting mode. You can then choose a tiny response, like taking a deeper breath or stepping outside for a minute. And that one habit can slowly rewire how you experience the entire morning. If you're looking for more gentle, practical ideas like the ones in this video, I have a suggestion. Head over to www.happylifetribe.com. There you'll find articles, guides, and encouragement that fit right into your everyday life. Everything there is designed to help you build a happier, calmer, more intentional life without pressure. You'll find support for stress relief, gratitude, mindset shifts, and simple habits that actually stick. It's all written in the same warm, realistic tone you hear here. Whether you're just starting out or looking for a fresh perspective, the site has something for you. Consider it a quiet place to come back to whenever you need a little calm living inspiration. A common mistake people make when they try to improve their weekdays is trying to overhaul everything at once. They decide they're going to wake up earlier, meditate for 20 minutes, journal, exercise, and eat a perfect breakfast every single day. And then when they miss one piece, they feel like they failed and give up entirely. The problem is that this approach turns weekday improvement into another chore, something you have to do right or else. That pressure actually makes the weekdays feel worse because now you're stressed about not doing enough to feel better. The real shift is much gentler. It's about adding one small thing that genuinely feels good, not a whole new routine. If you try to force too much change too fast, you'll just end up resenting the very days you're trying to enjoy. So start smaller than you think you need to, and let the habit grow from there. To make this feel realistic instead of overwhelming, you have to lower the bar for what counts as a better weekday. It doesn't have to be a full hour of self-care or a completely restructured schedule. Maybe it's just choosing to listen to a podcast you actually like during your commute instead of the news. Or it's deciding that for 5 minutes after lunch, you will not look at any screens. The key is to pick something so small that it feels almost too easy to bother with, because that's what you'll actually do. When you set the bar that low, you remove the resistance that usually stops you from starting. And once you do that tiny thing, you often feel a little better, which makes you want to keep going. That gentle momentum is far more sustainable than any grand plan you might abandon after 3 days. As you start making weekdays feel better, you'll notice a quiet emotional shift that's hard to describe until you feel it. The constant low-grade dread of Monday morning begins to fade, replaced by a more neutral or even slightly open feeling. You stop measuring your life in 5-day chunks of waiting, and instead you start noticing the present moment more often. There's less of that anxious counting down to Friday because you've found small reasons to be here now. You might also feel a surprising sense of relief, like you've been given back a huge chunk of your life that you thought was wasted. Mentally, you become less reactive to small frustrations because you're not already exhausted from waiting for relief. Your overall mood becomes more stable, not because everything is perfect, but because you're not constantly postponing happiness. And that stability makes it easier to handle the inevitable rough moments without spiraling. Of course, life will get busy again, and you'll have days where you forget all about these small practices. That's normal, and it doesn't mean you've lost progress or that the whole idea is broken. The trick to keeping momentum is to have a very simple fallback, something you can do in under 30 seconds. For me, that fallback is just taking 3 slow breaths before I open my laptop in the morning. When you're overwhelmed, you don't need to do the full micro check-in or the 5-minute walk, just the tiniest anchor. That anchor reminds your brain that you still have a choice in how you experience this day, even when it's chaotic. And once you do that one small thing, you're back in the game, ready to add another small moment later. That's how you keep the shift alive without needing perfect consistency, and we'll talk about how to deepen that in the next part. Over time, this small shift in how you approach weekdays starts to change more than you might expect. It doesn't happen overnight, but gradually the feeling of dread on Monday morning begins to soften. You start noticing small moments during the day that actually feel okay, maybe even good. The weekday no longer feels like a long stretch of time you just have to survive. There will still be boring or hard days, but they don't define the whole week anymore. You begin to trust that even on an ordinary Tuesday, something worthwhile can happen. This change builds slowly, like a new habit your mind learns to rely on. And as it deepens, you might find yourself less eager for the weekend and more present right where you are. You don't have to figure out how to make weekdays feel better all on your own. There's a whole community of people at Happy Life Tribe who are working toward the same kind of peace and balance. When you subscribe to the channel and visit www.happylifetribe.com, you join that supportive space. You'll find others who are learning to live with more intention, gratitude, and emotional steadiness. It helps to know you're not the only one trying to slow down and find joy in ordinary days. Together we share what works and encourage each other through the harder moments. So if you want that sense of belonging and gentle momentum, consider subscribing and checking out the site. I'd love to have you as part of this growing tribe. Even after you've made progress, there will be days when the old pattern comes rushing back. Maybe you wake up tired, the morning feels heavy, and you catch yourself counting hours until Friday again. That's not a sign that this approach isn't working. It's just part of being human. The habit of waiting for the weekend is deeply ingrained, and it doesn't disappear completely. On those days, it's easy to feel like you failed or that the whole idea was pointless. But the truth is, setbacks are normal and they don't erase the progress you've already made. What matters is how you respond when that old mindset shows up. Recognizing it without judgment is the first step to gently steering yourself back. When you notice yourself slipping back into the weekend waiting mindset, pause for just a moment. Don't criticize yourself for it. That only makes the feeling worse. Instead, take a slow breath and remind yourself that this is just a thought pattern, not a permanent state. Then look for one small thing in your current day that you can actually engage with. It could be the way the light falls on your desk, a conversation with a coworker, or a few minutes of quiet. That simple act of noticing pulls you back into the present, even if only for a few seconds. You don't need to fix the whole day, just one moment is enough to reset. Over time, these small recoveries become easier and more automatic. This approach is especially helpful for anyone who feels stuck in a weekday routine that drains them. It's for people who spend most of their week just waiting for the weekend to finally feel alive. If you have a job or schedule that feels repetitive or unexciting, this shift can make a real difference. It also helps those who struggle with anxiety about time passing too quickly or too slowly. The people who benefit most are the ones willing to try something small instead of waiting for a big change. This isn't about fixing your entire life. It's about changing how you experience the hours you already have. Even if your weekdays are full of obligations, you can still find moments that feel yours. That's why this topic matters for anyone who wants to feel more alive during the week, not just on Saturday. If you want to start right now, here is one simple thing you can do today. Pick one small moment during your weekday that you usually rush through or ignore. It could be your morning coffee, a short walk, or even just sitting in your car before going inside. For that one moment, give it your full attention without thinking about what comes next. Don't try to make it special or meaningful. Just let it be what it is. That's it. That's the whole practice for today. Tomorrow, you can choose a different moment or repeat the same one. The goal isn't perfection, it's just to start noticing the weekdays have their own quiet value. This change is worth practicing because it gives you back something that waiting for the weekend never can. It returns your attention to the life that's happening right now, not the one you're hoping for later. Weekdays make up most of your week, and they deserve to feel like more than just a bridge to something better. You don't have to love every moment, but you can learn to be present for more of them. The more you practice, the less power the weekend has to define your happiness. And over time, you might find that ordinary days start to feel fuller, calmer, and more your own. This isn't about changing your schedule, it's about changing your relationship with the time you already have. And that is something you can begin, gently, starting today. So as you move through the rest of your week, I hope you carry one small idea from this video with you. Even a tiny shift in how you see your weekday can make the hours feel a little lighter. If this video helped you see your weekdays in a new way, please give it a like and subscribe to Happy Life Tribe. We share gentle, practical ideas like this every week to help you build a calmer, more fulfilling life. You can also find more encouragement and support at www.happylifetribe.com. That online community is full of calm living inspiration and mindful lifestyle guidance for real daily life. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope your weekdays start to feel a little more like your own, one small moment at a time.